Good morning. My name is Tom Morelli, and today I'm joined by Ramani Balakrishnan and Supree Periasami. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Good.
Great.
Excellent. Well, Ramani, I'm excited for this conversation because you made a pretty bold statement the other day, and that's the fact that there is a lot of technology that is focused on the front end of mortgage origination right now, but that the majority of that technology is focused on the wrong areas and not creating as much opportunity as it could be. I know it's a bold statement. Do you care to elaborate and we can go from there?
Sure, Tom. So if you look at the technology spend, so on an average, if you look at the data published by MBA, around 6 to 10% of the origination cost is technology cost by the banks and the IMBs. Okay. But if you look at most of these costs is spent in the fulfillment side. So if you look at the cost of origination, it is around 10 to $11,000 per loan originated. Around 45 to 50% of the cost is in the sales side. Only remaining 45 to 50% is in the fulfillment. That too mostly in the production and the flow, underwriting, closing, funding, that particular area. But we have rarely seen any technology intervention supporting the salesperson. Though we have a lot of CRMs and point of sale systems are available, but most of these are not supporting. And also we have some data points saying that only 20% of the loan originators are using the systems or tools provided by their own lenders. Each LOS having their own Excel sheets or CRMs or POS and the way they are doing it. So there is no consistency systems across the loan originator. That is one. So they make it, this is the origination part. Second thing, obviously, I don't want to get into servicing, but servicing is a very big neglected area. So that be another
Sure.
topic. But
Yeah,
for the
we'll have
origination,
we'll save that one for another day.
right.
So, Supree, with Ramani setting the stage, what's your take on this challenge, and what are some of those areas that you feel the technology that's servicing the front end of origination, where do you feel like they should be focusing?
Um, I just refinanced my one of my property a couple of months back, so my I can recall my fresh experience with Zellos. I have sympathy for them, right? They are salespeople. They are looking for deals constantly. With the margin pressure, they are under tremendous. There is more pressure they are in, right? um, they have to do more with less, right? And then the borrower's expectation is they want instant answers. They don't have time to sit and talk to loan officers, right? And they need smarter decision also, the guidance from the loan officers, kind of strategies, right? So it starts with the sales process, right? So that the loan officer should be able to present not just quotes, right? Kind of strategies. Okay, given your situation, this is the best deal you can have, right? And in and out, right? The borrower is okay. You know what? This is good deal. Let's go. Let's go ahead and do it, right?
Hmm.
And then the data entry issues, right? So now the loan officers will have to. They are basically tied to the keyboard, right, all day, right? Clocking in the data from whatever the borrower is presenting. It could be, it could be pay stub W-2, whatever documents they present, right? Now they have to enter the data in the system. And then the communication, constant communication, right? Right, something goes wrong, and that's then they are between fulfillment and borrowers. Think about conditions. Now the underwriter is requesting for some document. The loan officer should have requested in the first place, right?
Hmm.
But they missed it because they don't have the right technology to tell them that, okay, given the borrower scenario, here are the documents that are required, right? Again, it varies from borrower to borrower. Some borrowers may not give all the documents in the first step, but some do, right? Hey, here, in my case, I want to give everything in the first place. Don't even bother me, right? So those are variety of borrowers, but the technology should be kind of nimble enough to give them, to enable the loan officers to kind of be a knowledge expert, right? Kind of a small mini underwriting
So,
expert.
Supriya, I want to pause you right there because you're bringing up a very interesting point. We always talk about communication, and it's you want to be in communication with everyone throughout the process. But you're hinting at it's not the right kind of communication. It's almost over communication of just dialogue and do this versus and do that versus more time spent on relationship building. You mind elaborating on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. It comes down to, relationship building, right? Because the technology is right enough to handle the heavy lifting, right? The loan officer shouldn't worry about or shouldn't spend time chasing documents, for example, right? Okay, you know what? My underwriter is now requesting for this document, right? Or you missed this, right? So constant chasing of documents and also the data entry, we should free that the loan officer should be freed away from the system and really building the relationship. Again, building relationship starts with kind of an expert in the industry, right? Guiding them. Hey, Tom, I hear you. I hear your situation. Here is the best fit. That's where relationship starts. I have been working with this loan officer for almost 20 years now. I'm not going to change it because that relationship is built, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the technology should enable them to to help them build that kind of relationship with more customers, more prospects, right? That's win for them. Then, it allows them to do more with less.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ramani, what's your thought on that kind of
Yeah.
crossroads of good communication versus just not good communication?
Yeah, the communication has to be relevant. Okay. So basically, if you look at the borrowers, they look three aspects, right? Accessibility, transparency, and relevancy, right? So they need data, they need information, they need status. They want to know how much fees I'm going to pay. They want to know what documents I need to provide. They need to know how long it will take for me to get this done and know whether I am eligible or not. So they basically want a relevant, transparent, throughout the life cycle, they want a communication. So it's not necessary they communicated directly through phone call or something. Even if they have an access like a portals or a live status check or a point of sale system where they can go and log in and check what is the current status. Like when you order a pizza or when you order a Uber Eats, so where is the status, where it is coming, how long will it take for you to Uber to come to your place, or how long the pizza to come to your place. But this the whole process is a black box for the most of the borrowers. That is where the communication is continuous communication is needed. It is not a
Yeah.
like I need to communicate today and after 1 week I'll talk. So they need to know at any point of time. They need to know where my loan is, how much documents I have submitted, how much documents I have not submitted yet, what are the documents I need to provide on what date. So they need to be on a, so they can be ready and prepared because they may not have everything with their hand at the point of any time, right? So if you
Mhm.
ask them, they have to go and procure it somewhere else. So the communication has to be continuous and communication has to be relevant and it has to be very transparent.
Absolutely. So I feel like that's one component of this is the front end technology. It needs to speak throughout the all of your platforms and ensure that your originators are allowed to spend as much time on that good communication and not necessarily just task administration. Now, looking at what else that the technology can provide and enabling the originators to spend more time with that good communication. Ramani, you had brought up the idea about the quality of leads that those tools help to bring in. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So if you look at loan officers, if you look at the data statistic, the top 20 loan officers, way they perform, and the bottom 80% loan officers perform are totally different. So if you look at 100% of the leads, so top 20% loan officers get 70-80% of the revenue. The bottom 80% is getting only 30-40% of revenue. Okay.
Sure.
So that's very visible because the challenge is the top 20 people knows they have, based on their experience, they know how to qualify a lead, they know which lead is going to make it. For example, you may have 100 conditions. On 100 conditions, 90 conditions may be generic, 10 conditions, there is a possibility it may or may not make it. So the a loan officer should have some guidance upfront. Like this lead potentially has a potential fallout. It may not make it, so they may not need to spend much time on the lead. They can focus on the lead. So because if you have 10 leads, so I don't have a lot of time to focus on all the leads at the same time. So they can optimize their call time, optimize their bandwidth, and qualify the leads upfront. So that have a prioritization part.
Mhm.
So the system should basically help them to prioritize the leads based on the probability of the qualification.
And Ramani, you bring up a very interesting point about, let's say if the quality of leads you had a score and you have someone who's 95% likely versus someone who's 35% likely. Inherently, you would think, oh, I'm going to spend my time with the person who's 95%. But I want to throw the thought in there of you don't want to just ignore that 35% because there's still a likelihood. But if those tools could help educate you as to here's why this is maybe, for the sake of this conversation, a lower quality lead. Well, what's factoring into that? And how can you potentially change that behavior to make it a higher likelihood? Maybe it's different qualifying information or where they're at or their seriousness. If you're armed with that type of knowledge, you can then take a different approach rather than just a standard boilerplate. I've got a potential borrower. Here's what we're going to do. If you're intelligent about their situation, you can tailor your approach and maybe increase that likelihood of closing. Supree, because we talk about leveraging data to help educate in this. I'm curious as to your thoughts on this situation.
Yeah, so it comes down to data quality, right?
Hmm.
Data is not just the data that the loan officer is clocking in, right? I would rather call it content, right? Not data, right? Content could be, I'm having conversation with you as a borrower, as a prospect, right? So the call itself is a content, right? And any data that is coming into the system, right? It could be in the form of data or document, right? So collectively, the content needs to have that intelligence, right? The platform needs to have the intelligence to kind of inform the borrower and inform the loan officer at the right time. Hey, this is likely this lead will likely fall out, right? Our propensity to close is not, it's not high. Or it should flag the risk as well as the mitigation strategy, right? What the loan officer needs to do, right? So and technology is there, right? And then the loan officer should adopt that technology, right, to kind of get that guidance, right, get the input, the right input at the right time, right, from the content that is already existing there. There's so much data there already, right? But the simply loan officers, they don't have time to cleanse the data and then look at and drive the insights from that.
Yeah.
But technology should give that, right? So when they have the right content intelligence technology, then they have the tools in there. They don't have to, again, the first thing is they don't have to go ask underwriter or fulfillment, hey, what will happen to the loan, or what happened to the loan, why this is kind of getting stuck in this phase, right? They have all the information, and they can actually take the next step, next optimized step, to just move the loan forward.
Excellent. So as we start to wrap the conversation up, we've really focused on three different areas. There's the fact that technology today is more so aligned at streamlining various parts of the process that maybe aren't the most value add. And instead, they should be focusing on how do we drive positive and good communication between the originator and their prospective borrowers. The other part is about the quality of leads that those tools can help to bring in, quality and quantity for that matter. But then there's also a component of education with data of here's as much information to know about this borrower. Here is that information contextualized with historical performance. Can you tailor your approach to better meet the needs and ultimately do a better job for the borrower and win more business for your organization? Ramani, Supree, before we break, is there anything else that you wanted to add to that dialogue?
So most of the parts we have covered. The few things we need also look into is the loan officers need to have at any point of time know what's happening in the loan also, right? So once the application is done and then the loan is being processed by the underwriters and closers. So when the borrower calls the loan officer, what happened? So loan officer, many times I have seen many LOSs, they don't even know how to get the status of the loan. So it's very tough time. So the loan officers should also two parts. One is the initial part, the qualification of lead, getting that into the system. Second is once it is in the system, loan officer should be able to should not waste their time tracking them with underwriter and closer and every time. So there's a waste of their time. But they should be up in the front in the field, getting more rather than chasing the one which they already sent to the back office for the assembly line, right? So they need to their time should not be wasted in the following it up with the underwriters and processors. They should be more spending more time on getting more quantity and quality leads upfront.
Absolutely. Supriya, any parting words from your end?
Yeah, I mean, the loan officers, I wouldn't call them loan officers anymore, right? They're really financial advisors, right? Or strategists, right? They're helping somebody to buy the most expensive transaction that a borrower or somebody can do in their lifetime, right? Maybe two, three times, right? So they're really strategists and financial advisors. But for them to play this role effectively, they need quality data. And also on top of quality data, there's a platform that should help them, right? Help them build real relationship with potential borrowers as well as their customers, their borrowers. Um,
Absolutely. Excellent. Well, gentlemen, truly appreciate it. Ramani, what's the best way for folks to get in contact with you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn. So I have.
Via LinkedIn? Excellent. All right. And for those of you interested in learning about what we're doing at Wilco and how we're consolidating point of sale, LOS, content intelligence, business intelligence, and more, you can visit us at wilco.com/more info. Ramani, Supree, thank you so much. Everyone, we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Take
everyone.
care.
Bye.